Intro video now. Well, we are live. Good evening, MNTV family. I am, of course, your MNTV dad, Michael Cujo, and beside me is my ever wonderful, ever patient, competent co-host.
I know. I feel like I'm becoming your sidekick, and I love it.
I love it. Do you know what? When you got a good vibe with somebody and it works,
Mhm.
right?
That's
And
it.
that's all I gotta say. You guys will know at Alicia Nicole, also known as Aliesha Pulliam from our other streams. She was with us just over a month ago on the Globetrotter guide here, and she was also with us on my other channel at the Optimist Guides, talking about parenting just last week. So, welcome,
Mhm.
Alicia. Welcome back.
Yay. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely love having you. Today, we decided that we're going to keep talking about travel and stuff like that. Last time we were just keeping it a little bit general, talking about our past travel memories and stuff that came out of in our mind and all that kind of stuff. Today we're going to get specific,
Mhm.
and this is like, if you're going to start with something, I feel like this is like the top of the list
Yeah.
of things to start with. Like, we start here, right? This is the important stuff that you need to know before you leave your house, before you get to the airport, before you get on the plane, right? All that stuff, how to pack, it's good, it's important stuff.
Mhm.
But how you act when you get to where you're going is
Mhm.
a biggie. It's a biggie. So we're
Yep.
going to talk about the do's and don'ts when you're traveling, how basically to leave your home and not have people think you're a jerk.
Yes. As my friends will say, have a little act right in your system. Okay.
A little
Regardless
act
of
right. I like that.
regardless of what destination, regardless of how long you've been ready and saved for this trip, if you do the wrong things, it can absolutely ruin the entire experience.
Exactly, 100%. And I think that's the thing. Sometimes we go out and we just assume that everything's going to be either we assume like everything's going to be exactly like it is at home,
Mhm.
or we assume that it's going to be so vastly different that we could never deal with it. So, and if you go either way, you can
Mhm.
end up doing things that are probably going to not only embarrass yourself but could end up getting you in trouble.
That's true. Yeah, some serious trouble, or you could get hurt potentially. So
Hmm.
it's just better to be prepared so that way you can truly enjoy your vacation and you don't mess it up for maybe other people you're traveling with, or worse, the people who literally live in that location.
Exactly. So we're gonna talk about some topics. We're gonna go through some of our tips, and then kind of the second half, I was looking at TikTok because what else do you do in 2024 other than doom scroll on some sort of social media, right? And I found some particularly egregious forms of bad traveling behavior, and we'll talk about them and talk about why. I mean, if it's not obvious when you see them, we will talk about.
Yes, we want to make it crystal clear so you don't watch that video and think, "Oh, that's what you're supposed to do." No, it's not what you're supposed to
Exactly. So we'll talk about exactly why these are things that you should not do, and just we'll have a little bit of fun with it.
do.
Hopefully when you see them, they're super super clear. Hopefully you don't have to be like, I'm on the fence about this. All right. So, for those who are joining us, welcome, of course. Um, I will post our social. I should have made things for our social media. I only did our
Our
YouTube
YouTube channel.
ones,
Yeah. Mhm.
but do make sure to check Alicia out at Alicia Nicole. You can check. Well, you're already here, so I have to give you that one at MNTV Family. Fortunately, this MNTV Family is all my socials. So if you look for MNTV Family on whatever social you are, you will find the dearth of non-information of a person who really needs to get his social media act in gear. It is my 2025 goal to get the social media
Oh.
aspect going because I'm bad at it. I'm bad at it. So
You have so much that you can post too. So I'm glad that that's a
and
goal.
and that's the thing, right? I mean, it's all there. I
Mhm.
just don't, right?
Yeah.
I feel like maybe I don't have the time, or maybe there's just too much to do. I don't know. It overwhelms me. I'm old. It was my birthday yesterday. I am 44 years old. I'm feeling like too old for this social media thing.
No, no, no. They've made it a little bit easier for us. So maybe look into one of those apps that you can just set it and forget it,
Yeah.
right? Take a
Yeah.
weekend to sit down, put all your posts in there, schedule them, and just let the thing do the thing.
Mhm. Yeah, I gotta get there. That's my 2025 is going to be my year of the social media. So don't look at the other social medias right now, but by the beginning of the year, start looking. You're gonna see the stuff. You're gonna
Yeah,
see the
go ahead and
stuff.
follow now and set the notifications. And then at the beginning of
Exactly.
the year, you'll be prepared and ready.
Exactly. That's what you need to do. Anyway, let's get into it. So the first one, so there's about I think 10 that I thought we can talk about. And I think the first one is a simple and easy one, just expecting everybody to speak English.
Come on now.
Come on now. I know I know we're both North Americanites.
Mm-hmm.
So, between the three of us, we can cover off three languages. English and French up here, Spanish and
Okay.
English down there, and that's like the extent of it, right? That's the
Right.
whole
Un
world should
poco,
speak
un
those.
poquito. Yes.
Uh, but here's the thing, and I mean the title says it, it's very clear. Do not go anywhere expecting that everybody speaks English.
Mm-hmm.
And that is anywhere you go. Like if it's just down into the Caribbean, or if you're going to Europe, or if you're going further afield,
Mm-hmm.
right? Don't expect that everybody speaks English.
No, and honestly, I like to try to learn just a few phrases, and of
Mhm,
course, it depends on how long you plan on being in the country, right? If you're going to go there for studying abroad or something like that, then you probably want to put more time and effort into learning some of the phrases. But
mhm,
just little basic things, especially, when you're going to need to ask for directions.
mhm.
So let's say that you're going to a super touristy area and you've got your top 5 locations that you want to see. Like at a minimum, learn how to ask, donde está, fill in the blank, right?
Yeah.
Like at a minimum, learn how to ask that. And it's interesting because people will respect not everyone, but often the locals will respect the fact that you tried. Some of them may
Mhm.
come at you because you completely butchered the language.
Yeah.
But my experience has been, they'll giggle and laugh. And sometimes that's when they'll take the opportunity to let me know they speak English,
Mhm.
And so then
Yeah.
I can be like, whoo, thank you so much. Right. And I'm really like appreciative that they actually
Mhm.
English. But then others will just laugh and they'll point. And so we had a little connection, we had a moment, but still I wasn't trying to force my language on them or worse, speak English very loud and very slowly, as if that's going to help them comprehend when they
Yeah.
literally don't speak English. Like, come on, people.
Exactly. Being louder does not make it better.
What? I'm sorry, again? No, it does not
It
help at all.
it doesn't. And I mean, here's the thing, when you go places, like if you're in especially if you're in the super touristy places, most of those people are going to have at least learned a kind of functional English,
Mm,
right? So if you're able to kind of relay, I'm looking for the bathroom,
right.
right?
Yeah.
They're probably going to understand, oh, bathroom, okay, CC.
Yes.
Right.
Right. And again,
Right.
it's still, it's important to just be mindful of those things that you need, right? Like you mentioned bathroom, for example,
Mhm,
or maybe a restaurant or something. Just kind of be thoughtful in your preparation of what are some things that you may need to ask, like certain questions you may need to ask.
mhm,
And I know we're going to talk about some things later, but maybe you have a question on buying something. Maybe there's something unique that you need based on where you're visiting, so you need to
mhm,
learn those words, right? If you're going scuba diving, learn how to say goggles in the local language or
mhm.
something
Yep.
like that, right? Just in case you need those things.
Yeah, exactly, right, and just I mean, we're not trying to say that you have to do like 10 hours of homework before you go to any travel or anything like
Mhm.
that, but just those little things can take your vacation from to wow,
Yep.
right? And it can take your experience of those things, right? When you have that moment of connection with somebody, right?
Mhm.
They connect with you because I mean they see most places, especially in the tourist places, they see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of loud, obnoxious, don't care about the world other than themselves tourists,
Right.
right?
Unfortunately.
And when you take just a second and you show them that you care about them, even in that marginal sense of just trying to
Mhm.
say, where's the bathroom in their language, I promise you, you will have a whole different connection and a whole different experience in that place.
Yep, I
Right?
agree.
You know, if you can get beyond the "Una cerveza, por favor,"
Right.
you know, to which every, you know, every server, what is like, "Oh, Lord."
Right.
Right?
We got another one.
Got another one. Knows how to ask for the beer, and that's it. Great, 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 great. But you know, if you can take it a little bit past that, I mean, you will take that experience, and then you know, like you were kind of alluding to as well. Also, don't assume that nobody speaks English,
Right. Yeah. The
right?
inverse is true.
Right. Yes, it's the inverse law here is also true,
Mhm.
right? It's not likely that nobody speaks English. Like I said, most people will have learned, especially in the tourist players, will have learned at least a functional English, you know,
Mhm.
enough to get by and to sell you something and to point you in the right direction or whatever not. So when you come like this at them, they think you're treating them like an idiot,
Yep.
just
Very
like you
disrespectful.
did watching me do that,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like if you're watching that and you're thinking, man, he just made me feel stupid. Well, now exactly you get it,
Mhm.
right? Not to be blunt about it, right? But it's when somebody doesn't speak your language, it's not because they're stupid, it's because they just don't speak your language,
Mhm.
right? They may, in fact, be far more intelligent than you. Maybe this is a guy with a PhD who just can't, you know, get a job doing what he's doing. He may be very intelligent. He just doesn't
Mhm.
speak English.
Yeah. He just doesn't speak the
So,
language. And honestly, I think it's okay to be blunt. I think it's okay to be blunt because, in my opinion, this day and age, it's disrespectful if you haven't put forth any effort at all to try
mhm,
to learn a couple basic phrases. Even if you just want to be very basic and just, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, thank you, please. If you
mhm,
haven't even gone as far as to try to learn those things to show a genuine appreciation and respect, then I'm side eyeing you and I'm asking, why are you leaving your country? Because these days it's so easy to at least learn, right? And
yeah,
let's say that you have a speech impediment, right? And so, yeah, I could learn, but it's very difficult for me to say. And so, therefore, I don't want to be disrespectful to the person. There
mhm,
are so many apps that will work without Wi Fi that you could have on your phone that could say the
exactly.
phrase for you. So, take the time to download those. And then you can really have a good time because now you can type out an entire sentence and let the app do the talking for you. So, in my opinion, there is no excuse and it's disrespectful to not come prepared at least a little bit and to just
100%.
assume immediately that people speak your language or specifically speak English.
100%. Right. And like, yeah, like you said, there's really no reason not to. Like we live in such an age of technology where like your phone, like most people's phones actually come with a translator as a default app.
Right.
So unless you've gone and specifically deleted it, you've got one. Like the Apple
Mhm.
phones have a Translate app, the Android phones have the Google Translate app. Like they're there,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
it's okay to use it, right?
Mhm.
Because again, anything that you do to show somebody else that you've taken just a little bit of effort
Mhm.
is definitely going to change your experience of the place because people will start to treat and see you differently. And that's going to be a positive thing.
Yes.
Right,
Absolutely.
100% will be a positive thing. I think we beat that one, haven't we? Just don't don't
Yes, we
assume.
have.
Yes, we just don't expect don't expect everybody to speak English, and don't expect that nobody speaks English either. The
Mhm.
truth is always somewhere in the middle.
Mhm.
So here's a biggie, and I think you know we'll when we show the TikTok videos, you'll see a bunch of examples of this too. But ignoring cultural customs.
Yes.
And again, this is just comes with the in the assumptions, right? Like don't like everybody's got their culture. I mean, this is a passion of mine. Maybe
Yes.
maybe I'm feeling a little passion here,
No, tell them. Preach.
but but the only culture in the world is not North American culture.
Mhm.
Right? People do things differently. Just simple, like even simple things like in the States, when you walk into a house, you don't take your shoes off, right? Shoes on is fairly normal. right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas up here in Canada, you do not wear your shoes into somebody's house. You don't do it, right? I know Japan and China are very much the same. Like as soon as you hit the door, in fact, you take your shoes off before you pass the threshold into the place. You put on a pair of slippers or you
Right.
wear your socks in the house. Just simple things like that show
Yep.
that you respect the place that you're in. And I feel like that is so important. And maybe that's kind of the theme of a lot of these is just respect.
Respect.
You
That's it.
know,
Mm-hmm.
understanding that you're not in America no more, right?
Mm-hmm.
And things are going to be different, and that's okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the whole reason to travel. Like if things were the same everywhere, then what's the point of going anywhere?
Exactly. Right. And I do know that sometimes there can be, it may be a mental challenge for some people. And again, this is just my opinion, but it may be that when you do go to other countries, you see elements of westernization.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a word, but it'll be one today.
Yep.
And so you start to settle in like, oh, this is just like home. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just like home. I'll use an example for me. So I was in the military and we went to Singapore. And when
Mm.
we were there, we were trying to decide before we left the ship, like what restaurant are we going to eat? And so everyone's like, oh, you should do the local cuisine. And we were like, nah, we're going to look for a McDonald's only because we haven't had a McNugget in a while. And so we were like,
Mm.
we're going to start with McDonald's. We're here for a few days and then we'll branch out and try other things. And we ended up finding a KFC. And we were
Ah.
so excited. We're like, it's even better, right? So we go to KFC, we get all of our food. We're all standing around, we're eating our food. And then we go to throw our trash away. And one of the workers came over and was like, no, 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 no. And they could not explain to us why, but finally they just took it from us. And I mean, we basically understood what the gist was, but yes, we were excited to be in a KFC. They had the same menu items that we have here in
Mhm.
the States, right? The decor was the same. The workers were dressed the same and everything felt like home. But in that moment, we learned that, oh, they do things different here because we're in a
Mhm.
totally different country. And so we apologized. And then we had another faux pas because we tried to give them a tip. And at that point, they were like, just get out. Just
Get out my stuff.
get out of here. Now, in our defense, we were like 18, 19, 20 years old. So we didn't know any better. But now I know, right, that before I go to any country, I do want to take a moment to just look online and just see, what are their customs? And it could be something as grand as how should you be, how should you conduct yourself when you go visit a temple or something like that? Or it
Mhm.
could be something small, such as, do they allow tipping in this country? Maybe that's
Yep.
something that's, not required. So you just want to know that before you go.
Yeah, and a lot of places don't accept tips, right? There are a
Mhm.
lot of places that don't accept tips or they see it as bribes,
Ah,
right?
okay.
So you don't do that. Like I remember flying through Kenya and they had signs all over the place. Don't tip, don't bribe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because they see it the same way. Like if
Yeah.
you're giving somebody some money on top of what their job is, then you're trying to curry some sort of favor. Right. And
Okay.
because it's such a normal it's not a normal thing, but it's yeah, it's a normal thing over there that they're trying to get away from, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're in the airports and stuff like that. And let me tell you people, this is a side trick. Be careful when you are in an airport, right? When you are in an airport, especially an international airport, you've passed security, you're kind of in like no man's land, right? And and seriously, like you are, right? You're in an area where there's special security, there's special laws, special rules, right? And if they decide they're going to detain you, there is almost literally nothing you can do
Right.
at that point. Like I remember, have you seen the movie The Terminal with Tom
Tom Hanks?
Hanks? Yeah,
Yes. Mhm.
where you get stuck in the terminal and has to stay there and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I tell you, I saw that movie first when I was coming back from Thailand. I'd lived in Thailand for a while and I got sick, so I was coming home. So I was on a 10-hour flight. I was feverish. I was just not
Mm.
there. And then I was on an emergency flight back home,
Mhm.
right? And so I was like, my brain was not there. And then they showed this movie on the plane.
Please don't let that be me.
And I was like this was post 9/11, right?
Mhm.
So, and I had like a beard. I looked scraggly. I was sweating all over the place because I was feverish. I was like,
Yeah.
Lord God, I am going to get stuck in the States forever. Somebody's gonna think I'm lying or something going through customs. That's gonna be it for me. I am going to be
Mhm.
in the terminal forever.
Forever.
But
It's good that you're bringing this up though, because I know we were talking about like cultural customs when you get into a country, but I think we should just segue and talk about customs in general before you even go to a country. I don't know
mhm,
how many times I have either seen online, and once or twice it has happened to me, where people aren't paying attention when it comes to customs or like airport security.
mhm,
So as you know, we've got all of the different security rules in terms of like how much liquid you can bring in your carry-on. And then
mm,
there's also rules on, do you need to take it out? And so I'll just speak about myself. I know it's happened to other people where I've been able to leave the States and then make my way to a layover in a European country. And of course, I've got my carry-on luggage, and they're like, yeah, you have to go through security again because you're fresh and
mhm,
new at our airport and you came from
mhm.
overseas. And their rules are all of your liquids must fit in this tiny little baggie.
Yeah,
And I'm like, but when I left the US, they're like, we don't want to hear that.
not the
It does
same.
not fit in this baggie. So now I'm trying to decide, do I want to keep the eye drops or the face moisturizer, right? And there's no point in getting angry or upset about it. I probably should have done my due diligence before I traveled just to see, what are the allowable limits, because I do have a layover.
Yes.
That same
E-
thing works for visas too. I think I just saw an article the other day where this girl was heading to India. I think she was
mhm.
going with some friends, but they had to travel through Kuwait. Don't quote me on that,
Oh,
but she didn't think she needed a visa because she wasn't
oh,
staying, in Kuwait. It was
mhm.
really quick. They're just going through the airport, but no, she still needed a visa. That was a requirement. So she did not
Yep.
get to continue on the leg of the trip. So, just be mindful when it comes to cultural customs, but also like customs, if
Yeah,
you're happen to be
absolutely.
traveling through a
Right.
location.
And understand, like, once you're in the airport, you have two choices: comply or don't fly. Oh, that
That's
was
it.
catchy.
That was very good. Very good. I love
Seriously,
that.
you're either going to comply with what they want or what they ask, or you're not getting on your plane. And it doesn't, in fact, the more angry, the more upset, the do you know who I am? I'm American, blah, 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 the less likely you are to get on that plane.
Or get home at
Like,
all. If y'all have
or
not
get
watched
home.
Locked Up Abroad, don't let
Seriously.
that be you.
Exactly. But even and like I said, I mean, back to the cultural customs, right? Like you mentioned, even things like, how do you comport yourself if you're going to visit a temple,
Mhm,
right? Or a mosque or a church or a cathedral if you're in the UK,
mhm,
right? How do you comport yourself? You know, Simple things. Do you look left and then right, or right and then left? Well, depending on
mhm.
which country you're in, one of those is going to get you across the street safe, and one of them is going to get you smucked by a car.
Yeah.
Or here's a cultural custom. In a lot of places, as a pedestrian, you do not have the right of way.
Listen.
Right?
I mean, it's still dangerous even in the US. If you and I have not made eye contact, I'm waving you through. Just go on,
hmm
go.
Exactly. Right. But seriously, I mean, you have to know and think about those things. Look around, see what other people are doing, and kind of act like they're acting.
Mhm.
Right? That's sage advice for a lot of travel. Just look around. What are other people doing? Right? If they're not playing their music loud so everybody can hear, maybe you should neither, right?
Yes.
If the light just turned green but nobody's walking, maybe
Please.
maybe you should take some cues,
Mhm.
right?
Please take some cues. If you are walking in a public place, let's say in a mall, and you realize that all the traffic is coming towards you,
Take a
figure out which
cue.
way the traffic's going and like go with the flow. Do not bob and weave and excuse me and this and that. Like, even if the store you want is right there, go with the
Mhm.
flow.
Go with the flow. Exactly. And speaking of things like mosques and such like that,
Mhm.
dressing appropriately for where
Yes.
you're going, right? It is not always appropriate to wear a tank top, crop top,
Mhm.
and a mini skirt where
Mhm.
you're going, right? It's not always appropriate to wear skinny jeans and your favorite AC/DC t-shirt,
Mhm.
right? For the guys, you have to look at where you're going, and you have to understand that they may have rules and and customs, right, as to how
Literally.
you
Mhm.
comport yourself, right? Especially if you're walking into like a temple or something like that, you have to be respectful because this is somebody's religion,
That's right.
right? This will surprise some people, but the whole world is not Christian.
Yeah.
I know I said
Surprise,
it, okay?
surprise.
There, I said it.
I feel like we saw some of that. Hopefully, people understood when they were all up in arms about the latest Olympics and the opening ceremony. It's like, contrary to popular belief, it's not all about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, the dressing appropriately too. It's really interesting. So when I went to Bali on a group trip and we went to a temple, and so we had done our due diligence, and so we were prepared with our own like sarongs and this and that. But once we arrived, they let us know like, no, everyone must wear the materials that we provide. And
Mhm.
so we could have been like, but I've already spent all this money and I bought the such and such and this and that, and it looks exactly the same. No, at that particular temple, they wanted everyone to wear what they told us to wear. And yes, we had to pay a little money in order to get that item, but the options were similar to what you just said. Either you comply and you go and enjoy yourself in the temple, or you're not allowed to come in. You can just sit in the bus and wait. And so we were like, okay, and so you do need to be flexible. Sometimes you have done your due diligence. But who knows? The
Mhm.
article you read could have been from 3, 4, 5 years ago and things are different. The article could have been from
Yeah.
yesterday and now this morning things are different. So still be prepared as best you can, but just
Mhm.
understand that when you do arrive at that particular location, if you're being asked or told to do something different, then make the decision. Okay, all right, I'm going to do what they say do, or I'm not comfortable with that, and so then you'll miss out on that part of the trip. And
Yeah.
one more thing I'll say to that, if for some reason things do not go your way and you aren't able to experience it, or it's completely different than what you thought, please don't come back home and get on social media and bash. Oh
Mhm.
my word, that is the worst, to see
Mhm.
someone and they're like, I have never in my life and I'll never go back again and da da da. Listen, it wasn't your cup of tea,
Mhm.
but don't ruin the experience for everyone else just because. Now, if it was terrible, terrible, as in like, it was dangerous or potentially, someone did get injured or could get injured, that's different.
Yeah.
But just because your feelings were hurt because something didn't go exactly the way that you hoped, I don't think it's right to come home and just try to ruin the experience for everyone else.
Yeah. And let me be like totally completely blunt on this,
Mm.
right? Not everybody in the world is so big on for freedom, right? To do whatever you want whenever you want. You best
Mhm.
not tell me what to do. That is not a worldwide thing.
No.
So if you are big on your freedom, I'm going to do what I want, when I want, how loud I want, whenever I want, at whatever time I want, stay
Mhm.
home.
Yeah.
Stay home.
Just stay home.
I'm
I mean, you can
sorry.
go around the corner, but don't go further than the corner. No, I'm just kidding.
In all honesty, and like don't bring and just on the dressing room and dressing inappropriately or appropriately, do not bring your morality somewhere else.
Hmm.
Like you may go to a place and you're thinking, my nice little all-inclusive beach. You go to the beach and you look next door, right next to you, and the person ain't wearing nothing,
I've
right?
been there.
You right? There are nude beaches all over the place, and it's normal and it's okay. And this is coming from a former pastor, so do not bring your morality back at me either.
Right, right.
If you want to go at this in the comments, I will go at this. But don't bring your morality elsewhere. You
No.
have the ability, men, I'm talking to you. You have the ability to not look.
Mhm. You can also leave.
You can also leave.
If you're gonna
But
be immature
seriously,
about it as well, you can leave.
right? Just avert your eyes, right?
Yep.
If you know that over there is the nude part of the beach, go over there,
That's
right?
it.
But you do not
Mhm.
have to be like those people with their bodies showing all their all over the place. Don't they know how to be modest? Maybe, maybe they are being modest, and it's just that they are not so hung up on this whole body sexuality thing as we are here in the United States or in
Mhm.
North America, right?
That's it.
In North America, we're the weird ones,
Right.
right?
We
We're
are
the
the
weird ones. Everywhere else, they see nudity, breastfeeding, all that kind of stuff.
It's part
It
of
just
life.
is what
It's
part of
natural.
life is what it is,
Hmm.
right? So don't bring your morality just because you have a different set of morals does not mean everybody shares them, and it
Hmm.
doesn't mean everybody has to share them.
That's right. I'm gonna take a pause here because I've been looking at the chat, the live
Yes.
chat. So it's great to see all the folks that are in here, but I'm laughing at Curtis York. He asked, didn't your cruise have an adults only section? And he's talking to me. So for those who
Yep.
haven't visited my channel, I have some videos where I took a solo cruise. And there was definitely a section for those who are single. So those of us that came solo, they had their own little shenanigans going on. I did not attend any of them. So I don't know, but there were definitely adults only in the solo section. So maybe on my next trip, I have to check that out.
Let me tell you something. I was thinking the other day, I just wanted to like get away, and I was thinking, oh man, when my kids aren't here, I could just go. I could go somewhere by myself, get on a beach, do my thing. And my mama told me, she's like, nobody goes traveling alone unless they're looking to hook up. It's like, mom.
Watch the pearls, mama. No, no, mama, no. That is hilarious.
I think it was her subtle way of saying that if I'm thinking of traveling, maybe I should bring her.
There it is, right? She's like, you should always take a +1.
Mm-mm.
That's too funny.
I was like, oh mom, I am
Curtis
not
York says, Magic
Magic
Mike.
Mike. Yeah. Magic Mike is not looking to hook up. So, thank you. If I end up on a beach somewhere, it's because I have my earphones in. Not even. I'm just gonna watch the flow and be by myself and just decompress.
Yes. Well, as long as you're dressed appropriately for the occasion or undressed appropriately for the beach, then that's fine.
Exactly. Exactly. I see Curtis also wished me a happy birthday. Thank you very much. Yeah, Mama knows her son. That is true.
She knows.
My mama knows her son. That is true.
Yes, mama did expose me. She out here telling all my business.
Hmm. So moving along, let's talk about the next one. Attempting to pay in the good old greenback. So as a Canadian, it's weird because we will go places and we will get US dollars to go and pay for things.
Really?
Because look, nobody wants a Canadian dollar.
They don't want it.
They don't want it. Number one, we don't have paper dollars, and we like our $1 bills. I know I have one in here. Like this is $1.
Yes.
Right?
I
That's a
have
dollar.
a story about the
Right.
coins being more than just coins. But
Called a loonie, by the way, for those who don't know, because it has. Can you see that?
is that the
Got a
bird?
loonie on it. Yeah, it's got a loonie. So we call these loonies, and then we have $2 coins as well, which are called toonies.
Okay, loony and toonie.
So there you go. You've learned something new about Canada right there.
Yeah, we'll get into attempting to pay with USD, but let me just speak to all of my America people. Please be mindful when you go to other countries, because while our coins are for cents, right? 25 cents, 10 cents, nickel, so on and so forth. In other countries, coins can literally be what we would consider as dollars, right? They may not call it dollars, but it's that. And so I have been on vacation and someone, assisted me with my bag or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to give them the change that I have in the bottom of my purse and just, drop it in their hand. And they're just like, oh, thank you, madam. And I'm like, you're so welcome, and in my mind, I'm like, oh, I probably gave them $1 or $2. I probably gave them $20 and didn't realize,
Yep.
So
in their currency. Exactly.
in their currency, yes. So be mindful when you do exchange. But anyway, attempting to pay with USD, it sounds like we're going in the direction of telling people to exchange their money. Yeah.
Exchange their money, but I mean, here's the thing, right? That you may not even think about. The US dollar is usually overvalued to where you are. So one US dollar usually equals out to more than one of their whatever their dollar equivalent is,
Mhm.
pound or sterling or kronos or whatever,
Mhm.
right? Kroner or whatever they have, right? So the US dollar is typically, unless you're in the UK, in Europe, typically the US dollar is more than a dollar.
Right.
So when you change your money to whatever the currency is and you go and buy something, you're actually usually going to get a better deal for your money than you would have if you just paid in whatever currency in the US dollar.
Right.
And if you're going into like those markets and stuff like that, typically they have a price that is in dollars and then they have a separate price in their currency.
Mhm.
And if you're not paying attention, you will not realize that their currency amount is usually far less than the dollars.
Right, the USD if you were trying to pay with that. That's a really good call
Exactly.
out. And I feel that in some instances it could be a bit of arrogance
Mhm.
because again, unless you're going to Europe, like people are aware that the USD will stretch in other countries. And I know we're saying USD, so everyone from America is like, why y'all just talking about us? No, we're just using that as an example. So insert your currency
Your
here, right?
currency here, yeah.
Yeah, right. Like sometimes when you go online, you check the exchange rate, which you should before
Mhm.
you go to a country and just
100%.
kind of see how's it doing as you're leading up to your trip. But you will sometimes you will see that your currency is worth more in their country, and so sometimes the thought is, well, if I give them this $5 USD, I've basically made their day. I've set
Mhm.
them up for life because 5 USD equals fill in the blank their currency.
Mhm.
I have heard, and this is just from me going on trips where we've had tour guides, and some of
Mhm.
the tour guide says you're actually doing someone a disservice depending on where you are if you give them USD. Because if they show up at their local bank with a whole bunch of USD that they're trying to exchange after a long day of working on their little cart, they may not be allowed to exchange it because there's a
Mhm.
question of where did you
You
get so
get
many 20s and 10s and 5 USD dollars, and they're
yeah.
like, oh, I work at a little stall and I have this little shop. If they're not able to exchange it, well, then you've stolen from them effectively, right? And
Mhm.
so while you may be thinking, I'm doing you, a solid by just giving you $5, that may not always be the case. It could be a challenge for them. So it's better to just, like Mike said, pay attention and see, do they have both options, right? Sometimes it's like I only have this much of your currency and I'm not running to the bank to exchange, so can I give you a couple dollars on top? I know I've overpaid, but if they're okay with that, then you can
Mhm.
do it. Or if they have a sign that genuinely lets you know what like the different rates are, then follow that. But
Yeah.
don't just assume because you gave them your money that it's going to be a benefit to them.
Yeah. And I mean also, I mean even in the places where they are happy to take the US dollar, right? I promise you, you are not getting a better deal, right?
Mike's
They
all about
will
the deal.
they will
Do the math.
happily take the more, right? They will happily take the more, right? Like you may be in a situation where they say this thing is one of our dollars or one American dollar,
Hmm.
right? I guarantee you if they're doing that, it's because the American dollar, they're getting more out of
You
it,
should know that it's
right?
not a one for one. You
Yeah,
should know.
it's never one. Like even Canadian versus American dollars are not equivalent, right? They're not. Like
That's
an
right.
American dollar is about $1.30 here at the moment,
Mhm.
right? So like there is nowhere, and trust me, they will take like if you go to places, most places are like, we will give you a one-to-one exchange because they know they're making out
Mm.
on that exchange, and they will happily do that to you, right? But even in other places, if you're down in the south in the Caribbean, or if you're in, they will happily take your money,
Mm.
right? Like there's nobody who's going to be like, no, because they know they're going to get more out of that, more likely than not than anything, and they will take advantage of you if you're not paying attention. So pay attention,
Pay attention. That's it.
right? And those like currency exchanges are not hard to find when you're out, because other countries know that if you're traveling you need to change money, and you should change money.
Yes.
Another note: don't change money at your bank, don't change money at the airport,
Hmm.
because they all charge fees on
Mm.
top of their stuff. So you actually get far less. Get out of the airport, get away from your bank, right? And go to, a forex. They usually call them like forex, right? Foreign exchange.
Right.
places outside of the airport, you'll get yourself a better deal,
Yeah,
guaranteed.
and do your due diligence on the deal too. Like actually pay
Yeah,
attention
know
to the
your exchange
sign.
rate. Yes.
Yeah, when they're telling you the exchange rate. Now, some banks, like my bank, for example, I can go to an ATM in the country and yeah, there'll be a lot of fees, but my bank gives me those fees back. So that's
Mm,
also something to just maybe research to see if that's an option as well. But
yeah,
ultimately do
absolutely.
your due diligence to make sure that you're getting the best deal that you can when you're
Yeah.
exchanging your money.
Yeah, I know my bank account gives me one free cash withdrawal when I travel, right, from
Oh, okay.
wherever I am. So I can go and I can exchange X amount of money and it will come out in whatever their currency is. I'm good
Mhm.
to go,
You're good
right? And
to
to give,
go.
right. So, look for those deals, but, don't assume your dollar is equivalent to their dollar. Don't
Mhm.
assume that they take it,
Right.
and don't assume that you're getting some sort of like you're doing them some sort of favor by giving them your currency.
By giving your currency. And one last thing on this, just in general with paying, I know that there's quite a few. I'm gonna say at least here in the U.S., right? Pretty much everywhere here in the U.S., we're becoming like a cashless society.
Hmm.
So I barely carry cash, like honestly. Like if you
Yep.
rob me, you're just gonna get a bunch of credit cards, and I'm cutting them off immediately. So that would be it,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
But that's not always the case in other countries. I don't
Hmm.
care if you have an Amex, honestly, especially not an Amex. Like those logos do not go everywhere. And it's not even so much of like they don't even have the ability to swipe, but like I've literally been shopping with friends, got to the end of my money, found one more item that I wanted, and was like, hey, can I use my credit card? And they said yes. And after 30 minutes of them trying to connect their device to a satellite or whatever, we both
Hmm.
finally said, never mind. Right. And so don't assume that every place you go that you can just swipe your credit card and make a purchase. I know it makes it easier in terms of tracking how much money you've spent and this, that, and the other, but it's just not an option everywhere in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, fortunately, like you said, we're kind of moving into this paperless type of society, and a lot of the tourist specific places, are kind of set up to take that. And it's usually because the tour companies kind of help them do that
Right.
to
Yeah.
make things easier. But once you're kind of a little bit more off the, like if you're going to a little market or whatever, those little stalls, 90% of the time, all they take is cash. All they can take is cash,
Yep.
right? It would literally cost them their
Oh,
weekly
gosh.
salary
Yes.
just to get a terminal or whatever, right? They
Mhm.
don't have Square or
Mhm.
Stripe or whatever because those are US companies, right? They don't have those things. They don't have the access to those things. They don't have the ability to get those things. And even if they could, it would cost them way more than it was worth,
That's right.
right? So, yeah, if you're traveling, cash is still king.
It is. It
Cash
is.
is still king. All right. Moving on. This is good. We're having a good conversation on this. I'm liking it.
I
Right?
think so too.
There's
I
so
hope y'all are
much.
taking notes out there. If not, you can always watch the replay.
Yeah, that's right. And the best part is like we could go back, like we could literally do an episode on each one of these.
Mhm.
So I think there's a lot more to be said on some of these things, but we're at, we're at 45 minutes already. So
We're only gonna do like two. Sorry, y'all.
so this should be a quick one. Having too
Uh-huh.
much luggage. Don't.
Just
Pack
don't.
light. You don't have to bring everything. And I
Mm-mm.
mean, you and me, we're YouTube people. So when we travel, we bring our laptop, we bring our camera, we bring the cords, we bring the extra batteries, we bring et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's one thing, right? But you don't have to do that, right? You don't have to have a different set of clothing for morning, noon, and night for 7 days and all that kind of stuff. You don't
Yeah,
you don't have to.
that's right.
Bring something that's appropriate for a fancy night out. Definitely
Mhm.
do that, right?
Uh-huh.
Bring something that you can wear at the beach and wash it, right?
He said, "And watch it."
And wash it,
Okay, okay. I'm gonna have to
right?
come in on this one. I'm gonna have to come in on this one. If you all have not watched the video, I think it was when you and your dad went to Vegas. Weren't y'all talking about
Mm,
your packing?
yes,
Please,
yes.
y'all need to go watch that video, and then you'll understand where Mike is coming from. Like it's in his blood.
Let
Okay,
me let me tell you, my dad is savage when it comes to packing.
it is in his
He
blood.
is savage. Like he went with a backpack that wasn't even full for
See,
our weekend in Vegas, and he was just, I got one pair of jeans. I'm good with that. I got, my 2 nights, three days worth of underwear. I got the one I'm
Right?
wearing, the one I need for the day, and the one I need to go back home.
That's it. That's all. That's it.
That-
That's all. Okay.
that's
So
it.
speaking on behalf of, I'm not going to say fashionistas in the sense that I'm one, because I'm not. I'm just gonna say it for those of us who are like, but I like options. When I travel, I like options because for some reason we think that mysteriously on this trip to Cancun, we're going to get invited to a red carpet event. It's probably not
Mm-hmm.
going to happen. So you don't need to bring your ball gown. You
Mm-hmm.
also don't need to bring outfits that you know you have never worn. There have been times, I'm going to say more than a handful, where I've grabbed a pair of something last minute, like I'm just going to stuff this in and take it with me. And then I'm on the trip and I go to try it on and I can't even fit it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So now that was wasted space in my luggage, right? So be mindful, right? What are the events and the things that you're planning to do? What are some items that you can get multiple wears out of, like the
Mm-hmm.
jeans, like Mike was saying, or maybe a skirt or something like that? So you may not be in a place on a vacation where you can actually send it off to get it laundered,
Mm-hmm.
but you should at least be mindful that you're bringing things that you actually plan on wearing. And then
Yes.
even after you've tried it all on and you have it all laid out on the bed, edit it one more time before you
Yes.
put it in the suitcase.
For sure. I think we have to do a video on packing, just on packing for, 1 day, weekend, one
Ah,
week, 3 weeks type of things. That's something we
okay.
should do.
I like that. That sounds good.
All right. And talk about, what do you really actually need to get by? And what are the things that you will always forget? So write them down.
Mhm.
Because I
Yes.
have not yet gone on a trip where I got to the place, opened up my stuff, and thought, damn, I forgot blank.
I
Happens every time.
I hate that Curtis is calling me out here in the chat. Yes, I will overpack for sure. And let me just give you all a cautionary tale. I was telling Mike about this when we talked before. So I was going on a trip, a group trip, and we were all meeting in I think we were meeting in Rome. Somewhere. But I decided that I was going to do a quick little solo trip before I got with the group. So I
Mhm.
stopped off in Florence. Now, for some reason, I felt like I was acting as if I was staying a week in both locations. I wasn't, but I had like a week's worth of clothes for Florence and then a week's worth of clothes when I caught up with the team in Rome. And so I done my research and I found this cute little hotel that I was going to stay at. And my room was facing the Duomo, which is like the big cathedral thing. So beautiful. Everything's great. When I arrive with my two big heavy suitcases, first of all, the driver is helping me put these two giant suitcases in his tiny little car, right? Because it's a European country. Cars could be potentially smaller, right? So he
Mhm.
gets it all strategically placed into the tiny car. And then when we arrive where I'm staying, there was no elevator. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
had to go up the stairs. The stairs are very narrow, and it's me trying to maneuver. And of course, the people in the front desk were so sweet. They're like, "Oh, we'll help you." And I felt like I needed to take that punishment myself. I needed to feel what it felt like to have to struggle up with one suitcase and then struggle up with another. But they were kind enough to help me, only for me to just be in Florence for a couple days. And then they had to help me right back down. And so for the
Mhm.
rest of the trip, I'm struggling with these two heavy pieces of luggage. I'm going across cobblestones and I'm sweating now just thinking about it. It was terrible. Don't be
Yeah,
me.
exactly. So really, really do think about what you really need to be in the place that you are going to be. And then like leave extra space because I guarantee you're going to go out, you're going to see that cute little whatever,
Mhm.
and you're going to want to buy it. Now you got an extra piece of clothing. Then you're going to see that and you're going to want to buy it. Right. So two things on that. Number one, leave some space in your like. Don't overpack. So you leave some space to actually bring some stuff home because you're gonna.
Mhm.
Right. And the airlines do not care.
Oh gosh.
Right. They don't care that you just had to have that extra thing and now you're at 55 pounds. Mm-mm.
Pay
They
up.
they will they will charge you and they will charge you savagely.
Yes.
Right.
They're
You
like,
will
it's
be
too heavy
surprised.
and it's too wide and it's too tall. Pay up.
Mhm. And there are some places like if you are traveling to like Jamaica, they
Mhm.
have like they have very strict rules on how much you can bring. Like at
Mm.
least up here, like I know Air Canada especially and WestJet is becoming the same. Our two major airlines. It is 50 pounds, two pieces, period.
That's it.
Not 50.1,
Okay.
right? Not 3 pieces of luggage. No, it is
Right.
50 pounds.
I got
And
my
once it's
suitcase, I got
over
my
50
carry-on,
pounds,
I have a backpack and a purse. The backpack and purse should be okay, right?
you should be okay. What I usually do is like if I have like I have a you can call it a man purse or a satchel
Okay.
that I travel with, and I usually also have a backpack. So what I do is I put that satchel in my backpack while I'm
Yeah.
traveling, doing the airport thing. So I only have 2 things,
Mhm.
and then I expand.
Okay.
Right.
That makes sense.
So oftentimes I'll actually also put an extra backpack in my suitcase
Mm,
so I have some smaller options. Right.
gotcha.
Like I rather go around with 2 backpacks if I'm doing a longer day trip or whatever not. And I have kids too, so it's always good to have some of these extra things. But it's always you put those in there, and then you have some options to expand,
Hmm.
right? Which is always a good thing.
I like it.
So, but yeah, don't take too much. You don't like look at what you need and think, do I really need this? And if you're thinking I don't really need this, and emphasis on the really, if
Really.
you if you really need this, take it. If you just need it, maybe think about not,
Uh-huh.
right?
I like that.
If
Rule
it's
of thumb.
just a if it's just a convenience or whatever not, then again, think about editing it out. Like I need my razor.
Hey, yeah.
Right? Need them. I have an electric shaver. That's the only thing that touches my head, right?
Hmm.
So it's not something I can just get elsewhere. So I need that, right?
Hmm.
Good thing it doesn't take a lot of space, right?
Right.
Now, if I'm only going for a weekend, then boy's gonna grow a beard, right?
Yeah.
If I'm going for a week or more, it's coming, right? Because you do not want to see me once that razor, like one of those big things, touch my face.
Yeah, the little single
Ugh.
blade.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Right? But definitely think about what you need and think about what is washable, right? A lot of hotels have a washing service. So if you're going to be in a place, a couple of weeks, maybe think about just bringing enough that you can wash, right?
Yeah,
Most places you can give it to them, one day and say, "Can you have this washed or dry cleaned or whatever not?" By the time you've gone out and come back, it's done.
it's done. Yep.
All right. Does it cost you a little bit? Sure. But what you save in just the aggravation of having to bring extra stuff and the weight and all that kind of stuff,
That's it.
you might just actually it's probably worth it.
Nice.
So yeah, let's move on to food. Food,
Ooh.
food, food. And there's 2 topics on food, and I kind of split them up into 2, but it's really one thing. Being overly critical of food and then constantly asking for food modifications. Right. So maybe maybe we'll start here and then go backwards to the other one
I
because
like
I
that.
feel like look, we're in North America and everybody's got some sort of food allergy. Whether they are, and look, I'm not diminishing them, but whether you are gluten intolerant or lactose intolerant
Mhm.
or peanut or nut intolerant or allergic or anything like that, right? You need to know that before you go,
Mhm.
right? And you need to understand that. And there are a lot of places, like when I was in Ghana a year and a half ago, nobody had ever heard of a peanut allergy. No,
Mm.
it's not a thing, right? It's not a thing there, right? And don't get me into the whole, how we produce our food in North America and all that produces allergies. Well, I won't go there,
Right.
but with all we put on our food, we wonder how people are allergic to it. But
Mhm.
it, people haven't heard of that. So, and people hadn't heard of being gluten intolerant, right? And they're very gluten heavy in their stuff. So when we went and we had somebody there that was gluten intolerant, it was difficult for them, not because they were insensitive or whatever. They just never heard of it before,
That's it.
right?
Yeah.
They've never thought about having to cook with in mind that somebody might not be able to eat it because there's flour in the recipe, right? Never been. So understand that when you are going places, and like if you have a food allergy, it behooves you to do your research beforehand.
Right.
You need to know where you're going to eat and how that is going to work,
Mhm.
right? Don't expect that everywhere you go, they're going to be like, oh, gluten intolerant. Of course, we have a whole selection of other things just for you. A
Right.
lot of places don't.
Yeah, a lot of places don't. And on the other side of the spectrum, if you're just simply a picky eater,
Mm,
please still do your research. Don't
hmm
assume that every restaurant you go to is going to go through the steps that are required to remove the onion and remove the spice and remove the whatever, whatever. I am somewhat of a picky eater. There are some things that I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to taste that. Sushi, not
hmm
interested. I don't want
hmm
to. So if I know that I am traveling, to a location, I like to do solo travel, but I do group trips as well. So I use group trips as the example. If I
hmm
know that as a part of this group trip, everyone has already decided that we're going to this really cool sushi restaurant because it's well known for fill in the blank, then hopefully I know that before, right? I already have my
Yes.
itinerary. I know this is what we're planning to do. And then I just let people know, like, listen, sushi's not my thing. And after a long day of whatever activities we did, your girl's going to be hungry. So I've already seen that there's like a food stall or a restaurant that's like next door. So I'm going to swing by there and grab me something to eat. And that's
Mhm,
only if there's absolutely nothing else on the menu. But if there's other options on the menu, like they have teriyaki, then
mhm,
I will find something. But I'm definitely not going to be that one person that's trying to force the kitchen to do something that's outside of the norm. And then I'm
mhm,
also not going to be that person that basically just tells, kind of pitches a fit with the group. Like, well, I don't want to eat there. And I think we should all go somewhere else. It's like, no, no, no. I don't want to ruin the experience for the chef. I don't want to ruin the experience for the rest of the group. I'll do like Mike said, do my due diligence and my research and figure out, what can I eat? What do I
mhm.
want to eat that's different?
Solomon Project says he has a serious allergy to hunger. Me too.
Yes.
Me too.
He on that
Me
seafood
too.
diet. That was one thing I see,
Seafood.
right?
That's right. And more than that, like one of the things that I do, and this is something I've done since I was, young, right? Is I made a decision that wherever I went, I was going to eat whatever was put in front of me. Now I've done a lot of like non-group, non-touristy travel.
Yes.
Like I lived in Thailand for a while, right? I've gone to Africa, stuff like that. So it's places where you're not typically in a restaurant,
Okay.
right? You're in somebody's home or, some similar type of venue to that where, they can't be expected to make just whatever because you're picky, or to just make whatever because you're North American and you've never had or heard of pig's brain stew.
Hmm.
Pig's brain stew. Right. So you have to. So I made the decision early that I would try anything once, and I
Okay.
have tried some things. Let me tell you, I've
Yes,
tried
we
some
did talk
things.
about that in our other video, and I did mention something that I tried. I gave it one bite and was like, nope, but at least I tried it.
Mhm. So, and that's me. And I mean, I don't expect that. I don't expect everybody to do that, right? Not at all. But
Right.
if you're not in a place in your life where you feel that you can eat whatever you may come across, then definitely do your due diligence before you go,
Yeah.
right? You know where your hotel is going to be. Most places you can get on Google Maps, you can see where your hotel is, and you can see what's around there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do that, and it's not going to offend people. Like if you're in a group or whatever, not people aren't going to be like, oh, they're always going off by themselves because they don't like us. They're not, right? Especially if you say, you know what, I'm gluten intolerant, I know this place
Mm-hmm.
has gluten-free alternatives. So
Right.
it's not that I'm like, don't want to be part of the group, but this is where I got to eat, right? And I'm not
Mhm.
expecting you guys to follow me, right? I'm going to take care of me, then I'll come back and be part of the group,
And be a part of the group.
right? In
Absolutely.
fact, that's less insulting than going somewhere and making up a stink because they don't have, your, you know, gluten-free or vegan or whatever option of the day.
Solomon Project says, I would cook my own food. I need to learn how to not burn water. Yeah, step
Mhm.
one, don't burn the water.
Yeah. And you know what? That's a good point because that is an option in lots of places. Like if you know you're going to be picky,
Mhm.
get a room with a kitchenette,
Yeah. Or sometimes
right?
you were staying in an Airbnb anyway, right?
Yeah,
So make
exactly.
sure that you have an accommodation, a hot plate or something, and you can just make your own meals.
Exactly. So, and the other side of this is don't be overly critical of the food and the food culture. like you came to their house, right? If somebody came to your house and you made them meat and potatoes, and they're like, I don't like potatoes like this or whatever, not you'd be
Right.
insulted, right?
Right.
You would be insulted, right? And the same thing when you go elsewhere, right? Not
Mhm.
everywhere, is a culture where you're gonna find meat and taters, right?
Right. Or chicken fingers and fries.
Yeah, or chicken and waffles or whatever, right? Right, or fried chicken, right? Right? Not everywhere is like that. So don't
Mhm.
be critical of them just because they don't have what you particularly like,
Mhm.
right? Lots of cultures are very different. If you go to Asia, it's going to be rice, 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 right? Or noodles, 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 right? If you go there and you're like, I'd like a steak and mashed potatoes, they're going to be like, McDonald's is over there, I guess.
Right. They're like,
Right.
That's not what we do." And,
Right. And
there's a phrase that I've heard people use on social media, and I like to use it from time to time now. I have adopted it, and it's "Don't yuck my yum." And so
mhm,
just because in some other country, this doesn't even have to be anything over the top and a delicacy. It's just something that's normal in their opinion, right? This is what they eat for breakfast, or this is how they've been raised to prepare a certain dish, right?
mhm.
And so to you, it may not be as appetizing. And you can politely decline if you don't want to taste it, or if you order it. This becomes a bit like, I don't know, it's a little iffy because sometimes the description will say this is what it is. But if there are no pictures for you to go by,
Mhm.
it is a little bit of a risk, I'll say, for someone that may be a picky eater. And so while it says it's chicken stew, and you're like, oh, okay, I know chicken stew. It's got potatoes, it has carrots, it has celery, and then
Mhm.
it comes out and the chicken still has the head on it, and it's like a foot hanging out too. And you're like, oh, that is not what I was expecting. That's a challenge. I highly recommend that this is just me because I just want to be polite. I will eat what I can eat. And then when I get back to the hotel or whatever, I'll probably order room service to fill in the rest of my
Yeah,
hunger.
exactly.
But I'm not going to send
Exactly.
it back. I'm not going to be like, oh, what's that? I mean, your kids might do that. Kids may do
You
that.
know
But as
what?
adults, let's not do that.
And I mean, I've taught my kids that if they don't want to eat something, that's fine, but they
Mhm.
also don't have to make a big deal about it,
That's it. Yeah.
right? My girl, my Sarah, is a picky
Oh, Sarah.
eater. She's a picky eater, right? And sometimes we go places where sometimes we know that there just might not be something that she'll like,
Mhm.
right? And what I do is I try to encourage her to try something.
Mhm.
But if we don't get there, I'm like, okay, fine. Then when we get back to the hotel or back to wherever home we are, you can eat something there. And if in the meanwhile she's like, I'm hungry, I'm like, well,
Fill up on the
kind
bread, sister.
of right. And this is what I've learned, especially about kids, right? If they are hungry enough, they will eat.
That's true.
They they will eat, right? So you don't have to. And I mean, here's the thing, parents.
Mm.
I know that your young kids just want chicken nuggets and fries.
That's it.
Okay, I know. I know. But if you're going to take them traveling, you're probably not going to find chicken fingers and fries. Okay?
Yeah,
So
unfortunately.
please, parents, I am talking right to you. Okay? I'm talking to you. Please do not let your children make a scene in the restaurant where I am trying to have a nice quiet meal. Please.
Please bring some
Okay?
snacks.
Bring some snacks or just teach your children that they are not always going to get what they want. They're not.
Yeah.
Okay? And that has to be okay. Right? So next time you're at home and your kids are like, I want chicken fingers and fries, just test them on something different.
Oh, there you
Okay?
go.
Make
Expose
them
them before you go on your
expose
travel.
them exactly.
Okay.
Please. Okay. I'm done talking directly to the parents. Okay?
I like that though. Maybe,
It's a little
I think
thing.
that's a cute little family night, right? Maybe Friday is normally, French fries and chicken Friday, but we know that in a couple weeks we're going to go to Thailand. And so for tonight, we're going to try some Thai food. And hopefully you can maybe figure out, something that your child likes before you even get get to that
Mhm.
new country.
Mhm. Or just like go to a restaurant. Like you can find yourself a Thai restaurant, right? You can find yourself some authentic Chinese food, not the Chinese food where you go and they ask you how many piece meal you want. Three items?
Yeah,
Not that
try to
bad.
find authentic because yes, I feel any of us that have traveled to another country and we're like, oh, I love insert food. And then you go to that country and you're like, wait, this isn't what I order at home. It's because
Mm,
they have modified it to your taste
yes.
buds at home, but you are now at the source. And this is
Mm-hmm.
how it is made at the source.
Yeah. Here's a good rule of thumb. If you are here looking for authentic food, if you don't see anybody that looks like they're from that place eating the food, it's probably not authentic.
That's hilarious.
So if you go to the Chinese food place and there is nobody Chinese ordering the food, I'm just saying, okay?
So
Or up
something to
here,
consider.
we have a Thai Express, right? And they try.
Yeah.
Bless their hearts, they try. But I've never seen a Thai person eat at Thai Express.
Okay, well, I'm not trying to be funny, but are there Thai people or in your area where you live?
Oh
I'm
yeah,
just asking.
absolutely.
Okay,
We
I'm just
have.
asking. No shade.
Do you know what? When I was getting ready to go to Thailand, I did exactly this. I found a Thai restaurant that was run by Thai people, and I used it number one to get acclimatized to the food, and
Okay.
number two to practice my Thai.
Ah, that's smart.
Right? Because ordering food is one of the easiest ways. I would like this. Pom yak
Mhm.
dai, pad thai. Right? I'm
I
so
love
happy I still remember that.
it. All right.
I hope somebody who's Thai doesn't watch this replay and be like, "That was wrong."
That was so wrong. Listen, give them an A for effort, please.
Right? And you know what? It helped because when I went to Thailand, I was at least able to speak a few rudimentary phrases to like find my way around. And I would ask them, did I say this right? Blah, 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 blah. Right.
Mm.
And I would ask them about things that I was thinking about, like, how would I ask, how do I go from here to here? Or something like that.
Right. Yep.
And they would correct me on what I thought I was saying and whatever not. So it was a great resource. And trust me, people here, if they know you're going to where they come from and you're
Oh, yeah.
trying, they will love you.
They love that. That's so true.
They will
Yeah.
love you.
And they'll give you tips and pointers of if you're going to this region, make sure you check out that, go here. Yeah. Great
Hmm.
resource.
Exactly. So don't be overly critical of the food and the culture, especially the culture too. Look, people
Yeah.
do things different. End of story. They do things
Mm-hmm.
different,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're not in America, right?
No.
Wherever you're going, you're not in America,
You're not
right?
home. And so when every single store in the entire town shuts down for their siesta, go read a book, take
Hmm.
you a siesta as well, or whatever siesta equivalent is. Don't be
Hmm.
all mad because you're like, well, I'm ready to eat lunch. They ate lunch earlier or they're going to eat lunch after, but you're
Hmm.
staying there for a week. So learn what the
Yeah.
locals do. Okay.
And actually, that's one that I skipped over was just assuming things will be open all the time. Because I know in the States, less so up here, but still, you can always find something that's open 24 hours to get yourself something, right?
Something.
Even
Yeah.
if it's just going to the gas station,
Right. Yeah.
right? Don't
Somewhere.
expect that everywhere. Don't
Mhm.
expect that everywhere. There are places where, like, if you're there on a Sunday, you are not
Mhm.
going to find nothing open, right? They're all at church and they take it, like a lot of places take it seriously.
Right.
Or if you're like in Israel, for instance, you may not find anything open on Saturday, right?
Mhm.
Because that's the Sabbath there,
Right.
right?
Yes.
And they take it seriously. So you may not find what you're looking for when you're looking for it. Right? It may not be one of those, oh, it's midnight. I realized I want some milk and I'm gonna go out and find some.
For
Right?
me, it's usually ice cream. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
midnight. I wonder if there's a little. No, girl, there is no little shop open up in this little town or this little, in this city with ice cream. You should have thought and prepared ahead.
Exactly. So the last one on our tips before we go on to move over, we've been at this for an hour, man. And like I said, we could go like do a whole episode on each one of these.
Good.
Easy,
Mhm.
easy. So this is like the primer course. This is like 101. Okay, this is travel 101, right?
101.
We're gonna have to go on to 102 and 103, right? And maybe
Right.
by the middle of next year we can go on to the 200 level courses. Okay. So
I love
if
that.
you're watching this, you are in travel 101. This is the simple stuff. All right. But sticking to the tourist spots.
Mhm.
Can I This is the thing. Let me tell you how most tourist spots are set up. You're going to go there on your cruise or your all inclusive or whatever not, right? When you get to the concierge at your all inclusive or you book your excursion, they are going to take you to a certain place. That place has already been set up and is prepared and is ready to give you a certain experience in a certain way.
Mhm.
You are going to do that same experience in that same way as everybody else has. All right. And that's not to say that it's not an experience or authentic or whatever not. Right. And I can tell you about, let me tell you, I was in Cozumel and me and my ex-wife, we chose to do a horse ride through authentic Mayan ruins.
Mm.
And when you see the pictures, right, you see these happy, smiling people on like what must be a stallion, and they're just, look at that ruin, look at that ruin, look at that. Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
We ended up there, and it was like the worst broken down nag horses that have been so broken. Like I remember, like I was sitting in the horses like well.
Oh no. That baby needed a break.
Needed a break. And then we went to the authentic ruins, and they were like these holes in the ground. And there was even one point where they're like, this is what an authentic ruin would look like, but we have rebuilt it. Like, then it's not authentic.
It's not. It's not.
Like, trust me, when we hear the word ruin, we're expecting it to be broken. Don't try so hard.
Right, exactly. And I understand there are some caveats to this, right? So you mentioned
Yes.
earlier about a cruise. So I'm sure at this point people have seen on social media the videos where people missed making it back to
Oh,
the ship in
yes.
time, right? And so they're
Hmm.
running and running and hoping that they can get on it. And of course, there's articles of people who missed the ship. And so,
Hmm.
in those instances, it does make sense to go to a touristy spot because you are booking it through, the cruise line itself. So
Hmm.
that way, if the excursion or whatever takes longer than it should, you're
They
covered
will wait
because
for
we're
you.
going to
Yep.
call the ship and be like, hey, wait for us. We got 10 people who are showing
Hmm.
up late. So
Yep.
there's that caveat. And I would say the other caveat is if you're a super adventurous person and you are going someplace where your local government has stated they are not friendly to your
Mm.
kind, whatever country you're from, right?
Hmm.
Then in
Whatever
those
kind that
instances,
might be.
whatever kind that might be, then, in those instances, okay, maybe stick to a touristy spot. Don't necessarily
Yes.
go off the beaten path. Now, with
Yes.
all of that aside, if you're going someplace, it's friendly, it's popular for this, that, and the other, just try to branch out, reach out to travel agents. You can even go to their websites and sometimes they'll have suggestions and recommendations of things to do that are
Yep.
off the beaten path. I like taking group trips where, we'll have a combination of things. So we're going to see the touristy stuff, but there's also going to be maybe a down day where,
Hmm.
the guide can advise you to go check out something that's off the beaten path. Or maybe you've already done your due diligence. You've looked on TikTok, you've looked on Pinterest, or whatever the case may
Yes.
be, and you see something cool that you want to check out. Do that. Go
Hmm.
explore, right? Like 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say they want you to come because folks don't normally come through here to
Yes.
see, this one cool tree that's been growing for, centuries in our town. And we're excited that you're here
Hmm.
to come check it out. So come. And a lot of times you're pleasantly surprised when you do
Hmm.
the off the beaten path stuff, because right, to Mike's point, some of the other stuff has been beaten and
Beaten.
and
Beaten.
it's not as fun and glamorous, as exciting as it may look on social media where they've added some filters and this and that. So
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, a lot of places to like, yes, I understand the I don't want to miss my cruise trip and my cruise ship, and that's important,
don't miss
right?
it.
Don't miss it. That's important. But if you do just a little bit of homework, right, you can find places that are either close by or
Mhm.
are through a separate non-aligned company,
Mhm.
right? Because the hotels and the cruise ships, they have companies that they work with, right? And
Right.
they kind of kick back to each other, so they know that, we're sending you a few people and you're going to send us a few dollars back, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And we're going to keep that, we're going to scratch each other's back, right? But once you get past that, number one, you will often get, like, there are a lot of places that you can look that are not the cruise ship. Like if you look at what's that place called, Viator, I
Yeah.
think it is, right?
Mhm.
Right, they will also give you a guarantee that you are back on time,
Yeah.
right?
I'm still
Often,
gonna say at your own risk though, because they can't
yeah,
control traffic, they can't control weather.
no,
So if you're on the
no,
other
they
side of
can.
the island with Viator, good luck.
Good luck. But I mean, because they give you some guarantees, then you have some recourses,
Yeah.
right? So you may have be a little bit inconvenient, but they will get you where you need to be, usually, right?
Usually. Yeah,
And
that's true.
again, do your homework, right? That's the thing. Do your homework, and then if you're thinking I want to do my own thing, that is maybe not the time for the big risk, right? That's
True.
maybe not the one for the, okay, I know my cruise ship is in port for 10 hours and here's a excursion that says it takes 8, right?
And it takes 2 to get there.
Right? That might be the one for the half day
Yeah.
4-hour excursion. So you're back. And here's the thing too, you can explore the towns,
Yeah,
right? On a
that's
cruise
true.
ship, you get to that port town and there's a town there, right? And they whisk you off to here, there, and everywhere. But if you do a
Mhm.
half day thing, right, you can come back and you can explore the town until it's time for your cruise ship to go,
Mhm.
right? So there's always options. Or if you're at a hotel, right, they will always try and get you a taxi to take them to their certain spot or whatever.
Yep.
You can walk. I know
Mhm.
it'll be hot and you're gonna sweat some or whatever. Not, I'm making it sound so glamorous.
But I will put this plug in though. Public transportation does not get the respect that it should. I
Hmm.
will say here in the US, depending on where you live, the public transportation is sometimes it's just not that good, right? I mean, if you're in a New York or something like that, yeah, they've done a good job with the subway system. But if you're in LA, for example, it's not that good. Like you usually do need a car if you truly want to get around. When you go to other countries, and I'm speaking to my fellow Americans, when
Yeah.
you go to other countries, you will be pleasantly surprised at how well their public transportation works.
Hmm.
And that is an opportunity for you to literally go off the beaten path and go check
Yep.
something else out. And it's gonna be, I mean, it's gonna be safer than being in
Yeah.
New York. I'm just gonna tell you, it's gonna be safer than subway, probably a whole lot cleaner too. So,
Hmm.
give that, a once over as well. So yeah, I would say if you literally chose a location in terms of like your hotel or Airbnb, if you chose something that's in a touristy area and it's somewhat walkable, then actually walk around and see what's there. If it's a hotel, talk to the concierge and ask them if they have any recommendations. And if the concierge is like, here's our top 5 attractions and you haven't heard of 3 of them, then ask them, can I get a taxi there? And they may tell you, actually, it's better if you just walk up the street and catch this one bus because the bus literally just goes to the attraction and back. Like,
Hmm.
every other hour you can go ride it. So, but you don't know those things if you're like, I only came here just to see the Taj Mahal and that's it. I'm not going to go see anything else.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I mean, I know this has been kind of a recurring theme, but do a little homework,
Yeah.
right? Check out what's close to where you're going to be. If you are at a hotel, right, check out what's just around the hotel that you can just walk and explore. Like I have found some of the most amazing things just walking out of the hotel and deciding I'm going to turn left, right, or go straight,
Yep. That's it.
right? And I mean, obviously, be smart about it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be don't be dumb, right? Don't
Right.
right? If
Safety
you're
first, of course.
right, if the place gives you that gut of the stomach feeling, go with your gut, right? If you're thinking, oh, this place looks a little sketch or feels a little sketch, then go with that, right?
Right.
Go with
Yeah.
that. But also, like, if it's in the middle of the day, you're with a friend or something like that, or somebody knows where you are, explore, right?
Mhm.
Go and just get out somewhere that they're not taking you already. And you'll often find that you'll get some good deals, right?
Mhm.
People are often very friendly, right? You will find some things that you would not have found by being taken to that place to do
Yeah.
that thing for this amount of time.
Right.
All right, and that's the thing too with the excursion stuff like that. Often you find yourself fairly rushed because they're taking you there for a certain amount of time and they have an itinerary for you, so you only get so long to do blah blah blah. And if you want to explore, like, you may find yourself at the excursion place and thinking, man, I would just like to explore this place, but
Yes.
there's the tour guide saying, nope, we're going to go here and then we're going to go here and we got to do this and we got to go here and we're walking, okay,
Yep.
okay.
You got
And
5
you're like,
minutes to stop and then back to the bus.
right? So even if you could go, you could find yourself going to exactly the same place as the excursion's going, but doing it your own way, your own time, and just checking the place out at your own leisure, right?
Yeah.
And there is nothing wrong with that. There's
Mm-mm.
nothing wrong with that. And like I said, you might
No.
find that you find something that you wouldn't have, some special place or some special thing that just makes your trip, your vacation special.
Yes, I want to share this story. So my friend, this was, well, I don't want to say too long ago because I'm not that old, but some moons ago for my friend's 30th birthday, she wanted to go to, I know it's not pronounced Ibiza, it's Ibiza, but I say Ibiza. Okay. So we decided we're going to go to Ibiza. It's a party island. We're going to go, and like every single night we want to party. So my friend was absolutely a planner for everything. So she planned the trip so well that she already went and decided which clubs we were going to go to, and she pre-purchased our tickets for the club. Okay.
Mhm.
So we knew exactly, like, flight, not a problem. Getting there, not a problem. Checking into hotel, everything's great. She's like, all right, you have this much time to like get settled in your room, take a shower. We're going to meet up, walk around, right? She had everything planned. And we knew what club we were going to that night. So as we're walking along the beach and just like taking pictures of each other and enjoying the scenery, this guy comes up to us and he's like, hey, where are y'all from? And this and that. And we're listening to him talk and we're like, you're an American. He's like, yes, I'm from Chicago. And so every summer he would go to Ibiza and worked as a club promoter. And so, of course,
Okay.
he asks us, what are you guys doing while you're here? And here comes my friend. We're at the beach and she got the itinerary in her bag. She's like, we're going to this club tonight. Then we're going here. It was like no sleep, club, another club, sleep, club, right? Like that's how the whole list was. And he's looking and he's like, oh. He's like, yeah, they got you on the websites, huh? You went to all the like super touristy. It's going to be basically the same DJ that's bouncing between those clubs. It's going to be the same music, the same decor, the same this, the same that. And so he's like, I wish you all had just figured it out once you got here. This is literally a party island. There's never a shortage of parties. I hate that you already purchased your tickets in advance. And so then he starts telling us these cool places that we could have gone. And it's like, we never would have known that we would have gone all the way to Ibiza, Spain, and run into a dude from Chicago who was a club promoter who had all the deets on where you should go.
Yeah.
Now, thankfully, he saved us with day parties. So we literally got no sleep. We would like wake up, eat breakfast, meet up with him. But we hit up all these different day parties along the beach. We had VIP access, drinks were comped, and then he got us rides to those clubs because we didn't know how we were going to get there. So it ended up being a great experience. Another thing that he shared that I took advantage of, he's like, you should go see the sunset. The sunsets in Ibiza are gorgeous. And I'm like, well, where are the sunsets? On the other side of the island.
Out of the island.
So he basically explained to me, you're going to take 3 buses, a cab, you're going to ride on a donkey, and you're going to have to walk a little bit. But when you get there, it is so worth it. And the area is called San Antonio. And it was gorgeous. It was gorgeous.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's a good point too. Like, and I mean, I can't believe it's taken us to nearly the end to bring this up, but like the websites are not the only place to find information on places to go. Right? You go on your Facebook or whatever your social media of choice is and just type in, I'm planning on going to blank. What should I check out?
Right.
You will get somebody who's been there. Right? There ain't nowhere on earth that somebody hasn't been yet. So,
or people live there and they're promoting it because they want you to come.
Exactly. Or do a Google search for, I'm going, places to see at this, and then skip the first page of results.
Do that. Yep.
Right? You don't have to go to TripAdvisor. I mean, don't get me wrong. TripAdvisor, number one, if you guys want to sponsor TripAdvisor, you can just mntvfamily@gmail.com. You can go ahead and sponsor us. But what I'm going to say right now, just right, TripAdvisor is great, but it's not the only source of information.
That's right.
Right? Yelp is great. It is not the only source of information. There are tons of small little websites, blogs, chat rooms, forums, etc., that you will get great little gems. Even look on TikTok, type
Mhm.
in the place name that you're going and just look through TikToks and such like that and see what's there. You may find that you will find something
Mhm.
that wasn't in the big bold bright lights on one of the major websites,
That's true.
right? Because
Yep.
people are always like, there are lots of people who are all about exploring and all about sharing it.
Yes, I love that. And again, be mindful also if you're just looking at travel influencers. Like I have some of my favorite
Hmm.
travel influencers and I look at what they do. I even have a friend, she and I went to grad school together and she quit her job and now she's a full-time travel influencer. Now I
Oh,
do
very
trust her.
cool.
So
Hmm.
I will look at what she says because she will give a whole itinerary.
Hmm.
But sometimes take that with a grain of salt because depending on who the influencer is, they may have been paid to do that. And so, but you
Hmm.
can still find people like, so I'm in Seattle and there's all kind of sites where it's like mommy and me on Instagram and you look it up and it's just a mom that's just like taking her kids around to like cool places that are in the
Hmm.
Pacific Northwest. And they're always showing things. And I'm like, I did not know that exists. And so now it's on my bucket list to go check it out. Right.
Yeah.
So even be a bit adventurous as well when you're looking on social media or you're reading like different blog sites.
Hmm.
Because like Mike was saying, there's people who just travel for fun and they see something cool and they really want to share it with the world. So you should go check them out.
Yeah, exactly. And lots of smaller places too. They have their own tourism board sites and such like that to
Yes.
promote themselves, right? And oftentimes the people who are advertising on those sites are not the ones who have the big contract with with the cruise ships or with the hotel or whatever not. They're more local places. So there are so many options, right? Beyond what your cruise ship itinerary or your cruise ship gives you, or your all-inclusive gives you, or your hotel gives you, or
Mhm.
whatever not. There will invariably be so many other options. So if we can leave you with any major thing, I would say is just do a bit of homework, right?
Yes.
I'm not saying that you have to, know every route and know like if you're going to get into a taxi that they're going to take two lefts and a right and so on and so forth to get you. You don't have to be that in depth, right? But if you do just a little bit of digging, just a
Mhm.
little bit of digging, you may find that there is something that you'll find that you might not have found otherwise.
That's right. Yep. So don't just go to the same places, right? Be a little bit adventurous.
Hmm.
Same for restaurants, right? We talked about
Hmm.
the food, try not to be too picky. If you do have some sort of food allergy, prepare for that in advance. And when you're
Hmm.
at that restaurant, don't assume that you can just slap your local currency down to pay for it, right? You
Hmm.
might need to, do some research there to make sure you're getting, as Mike would say, like you get a good deal. Make sure you're
Yeah,
getting a good deal if you're using their currency. Let's see, what else have we
exactly.
covered, Mike?
We've covered a lot, and I mean we've gone overtime, definitely. So
Yes.
I think what we're gonna do as well is we had a whole bunch of like TikToks and stuff like that to kind of show, and I think maybe we'll shelve that for another stream where we can
Okay.
have fun with that. Just because I mean I want to be mindful of people's time, and they've been with us for an hour and a half already. Which, by the way, thank you, right? Big shout out to, I saw Curtis in there, especially. I saw Solomon Project in there. So thank you guys for carting along with us for an hour and a half. But so we'll save that for the rest. But I think it is, kind of good to kind of go back and just kind of talk, like you said. I mean, just recapping things like, not expecting everybody to speak English
Mhm.
and not expecting that nobody speaks English,
Right.
right? Right, both sides of the sword, right?
Mhm.
Don't ignore their cultural customs, right? And I really wish, like, if we'd gone into the TikTok thing, and we'll do the whole looking at TikToks and all that, and we'll have some fun with that on a separate stream. But
Mhm.
you can get yourself in some significant trouble,
That's true.
right, by ignoring cultural customs, because there are people who take it very serious. Just like in the States, like you guys take, like the national anthem and the flag and such like that very, very seriously. Well, there are things that people in other countries take very seriously as well,
Yes,
right?
that's true.
So you gotta be mindful of that, right? Dressing appropriately.
Mhm.
And like I mentioned, don't bring your morality when somebody else ain't dressing the way you like it.
Right.
Right. right? And assuming that things will be open all the time. We didn't spend a lot of time on that, but I mean, it's a simple one. Not everywhere has 24 hours everything.
Hmm. There's not a Walmart everywhere.
There
Surprise,
is
surprise.
not
There's
there's
not.
not a Walmart everywhere, right? You may find that if you're in Thailand, it's called the Big C. Looks just like Walmart.
Oh, okay.
Looks just like Walmart, like a carbon copy,
Yeah.
right? In the UK, I think they have ASDA, right, which
Hmm.
is a Walmart like place as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, so there are places, but I mean, even in those places, those things are not always open 24/7, right?
Mhm.
So don't don't expect it.
Right.
Right? Don't expect that you can pay with the good old greenback everywhere you go, right?
Mhm.
And like I mentioned, you may have a better experience actually paying in somebody else's currency. You might get yourself a better deal,
Mhm.
right? Having way too much luggage,
Don't do it. It's not. It's never worth it.
it's
Never.
never worth it. You just end up lugging stuff around and you just end up thinking, why did I bring this? And you get back and you got all this clothing that you're like, didn't wear that, didn't wear that, didn't wear that. Why did I even bring it?
Why?
Right? Why? Honestly, go with your suitcase half empty, at least, so that you have space enough to fill that other half. All right, bring back all those souvenirs and such like that without worrying about going
All those
overweight and all
trinkets.
that. Mhm. Exactly, and you're gonna buy them, right? Like
Mhm.
that's the thing. You're going to buy them.
You are.
So don't go there thinking I'm not gonna buy all those little trinkets, all those little waste of monies. You're gonna because you're gonna be shopping. You're gonna think, oh, I better get something for my mama or this friend or this kid or that aunt or whatever. And before you know it, you got a half a suitcase full of stuff. Most of it not even for you,
Right.
maybe, right? But you will find stuff that you want too, right? You're going to, right?
Yeah.
Almost like I don't think I've ever gone on a trip where I didn't come back with something.
Yeah. I always come back with at least a t-shirt. I
Yeah,
used to
exactly.
do shot glasses, which is wild because I don't even drink, but it's like what everyone else is doing around me.
Yeah,
Then I would do decorative plates.
yeah. My
So I have
mother
all
used
these
to
plates.
do, yeah, my mother used to do those little souvenir spoons.
Oh yeah, the
Right.
spoons.
My
Yes.
mother used to do that. I used to do those jumbo-sized pencils, actually.
Oh
I
yeah,
used to
that's
have a
so cute.
whole collection of those.
Yeah.
So I've
Yeah, I
lost
just
a
do
lot of
t-shirts.
them.
My mom does
But
fans, which surprisingly
yeah,
you can find them in a lot of places. You just open it up and some of them have like a little lace around the top and it'll be like an image of the location and but she
exactly.
literally uses those fans. So she'll let me know like we need to go on another trip because I'm out of fans.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So don't pack way too much. Don't be overcritical of people's food and people's
Right.
culture and their culture around food too. Like I know in North America here, we're all about the fast food, right?
Mhm.
Even if you go to a sit down restaurant, they're all about the turnaround time, right?
Right.
They want you in, they want you out, right, as fast as you can. A lot of places are not like that, and they expect that if you come into their restaurant and sit down, you're going to be there for a couple hours,
Yeah.
right?
That's
That is their expectation, right? Especially if you're in Europe, places like France, especially where
mhm.
food culture is big, right? If you go into a restaurant and you're kind of rushing through and you're like they're like they take that as an insult, like you didn't
Mm.
you didn't like the food enough to actually taste it.
Yeah.
So, definitely things like that as well. Asking for too many food modifications. Like I said, the big one here is just if you have some sort of food allergy, you're gonna have to do your homework beforehand. Don't expect that everybody knows about your particular type of food allergy or food sensitivity,
Right. Exactly.
right? Even things as spice, right? A lot of places, right? Spicy food is the norm,
Yeah.
right? You can go to like a KFC and you can get spicy chicken, right?
I have been burned literally and figuratively going to other places and it's spicy. And I'm like, just bring me more water. Right? I'm still enjoying the meal. My lips are on fire, but just bring me more water. And now I know if I ever visit again, maybe not that dish.
Yeah, let me tell you, when I was younger and I went to Ghana, Africa with my father, and Ghana is where my father is from. And so him and his sisters, my aunts, took me to a restaurant. And all this place makes is chicken soup. That's it. You go, you sit down, and you order it mild, medium, or spicy.
Okay.
And then they go to the back, they get the chicken, they kill the chicken, and they make soup out of it.
Oh, it's very fresh.
It's very fresh. But let me tell you, speaking of spice and all that, just put it in my head. Like, their medium was so hot that my aunts, who live there, could not eat it. Like, the mild was so spicy, I had to take the chicken out and scrape it off.
Oh yeah.
And even still, I was like, "Oh Lord Jesus, I'm coming."
I'm like patting the food when they're not looking, like trying to absorb some of it. I'm like, it's good.
It was something. It was something else, right? But I ate it, right? I ate as much as I could, and then later on, okay, I got something else, right? And that was in the days like you can find KFC in Ghana now. You can't find McDonald's, but before you couldn't find KFC, so I had to find, just some other piece of food that can like tamp it down. Oh,
yeah, I'm like,
sorry.
bring me all the bread. Where's the bread?
One more food story, just because it's really funny, just about being over good. So then this is another Ghana story because they're weird about food there. Because I'm a little North American kid, right? So I'm used to burgers and fries, meat and potatoes, whatever, right? And I went to this place, and they said they had hamburgers. And this is again when I was young. I think it was maybe I was 10 or 15, I don't remember. But this place said they had hamburgers, and I was like, sign me up.
Yep.
Went there, ordered a hamburger, and I'm expecting a big, juicy. What I got was bun, onions, tomatoes, slice of ham, bun. Girl,
it was literally ham in a burger sandwich.
It was a ham burger. This is probably one of the most disappointing things I ever did have.
You're like, these are cold cuts. This is not a hamburger.
And I mean, to their defense, that's just what they thought it was.
Right.
If you're not an English speaker and you're not a North American and you hear hamburger,
we think of beef, baby, or turkey even, or a portobello, whatever your equivalent is, but not literal slice of ham. That's cute.
Literal slice of ham. That's what I got.
That is too funny. I'm gonna add this really quick. My younger brother, and this was in the States. My younger brother, he's 7 years younger than me. And so when we were growing up, you go to a restaurant and our parents would always get the kids menu, right? So we went to this one restaurant that was in our town, in our little city. And on the kids menu, they had steak and fries. And he was so excited. He's like, oh, they have steak. I want a steak. And it's like, yeah, so he's going to get a steak, right, for a kid. So the server comes out, we all order, and he's so excited. He got to order for himself. And he's like, I want the steak and the fries, please. And they're like, playing along. They're like, very good choice. And so they asked him, how did he want his steak prepared? And it's like, his eyes get all big because he'd never been asked that question. And so my mom's like, he just wants it well done. Okay. So we're waiting for our food to come. And then all of a sudden we hear the fire alarm going off, right? Smoke's coming out the kitchen. We're like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? It's crazy, right? Didn't think anything of it, right? They were able to calm everything down really quickly. The issue was my brother's steak. So because it was kid steak, it was a very tiny piece of meat. And because my mom asked for it to be well done, it basically was a hockey puck when it came out on the plate. It was completely charred. It was very tiny. And we could still smell like the burnt smell from earlier. So we knew that it was his food that caused that issue. My brother cried and he cried and he cried. And my mom's like, can we just get chicken fingers? And they were like, yes. And I was a bit appalled that they even brought it out. But they did. And so they did switch it out and just gave him chicken fingers and fries, but he was so disappointed. He's like, I was gonna have a steak, like a kid's steak. And it's like, yeah, but I guess kind of going along with food modifications, if you do go into a country that happens to serve some cut of meat, well done may not be an option for you. It may not be the way to go. You could even ask them, well, what do you recommend? How do people normally get it prepared? And maybe go, one level past that if you don't want as much pink. But you can't always assume that just because you get it well done at the house or or well done in your own home when you cook it, that another restaurant can prepare that same way.
100%.
I will never forget that hockey puck. Hilarious.
I'm with you. Anyway, we have been at this for an hour and 20 minutes, but Aliesha, tell us, what have you got going on in your channel? What's coming up over on your world?
Yes. So I've been hosting some events. So I have a couple videos that are coming up with behind the scenes for the events that I've been hosting. And I actually have some travel coming up. So for the holiday season, I'm very excited. I will be in Florida. Somebody out there is like, really, girl, you going there? Yes, I'm going to Florida, connecting with one of my old military buddies and his family, and all the kids have grown up and some have gotten married. And so we're going to spend the holiday season. So I'll be posting some videos of what it was like for me around the Christmas time down in Florida.
Very cool. Very cool. Can't wait to see that. Yay. It's going to be fun. Of course, on our end, and I've taken a little bit of a break. This is actually the first major thing I've put up on the channel in a couple of months. I was having a little bit of a YouTube palate cleanser. Palate cleanser. Taking a little bit of a break. As you know, we do a lot of the, going here and there with the kids and such like that. And, we've done a lot over the past little bit since we went to Ghana, and we've, done a whole lot around Alberta. So we're just taking a little bit of a break. I was taking a little bit of a break from, all the editing and such like that, but I am working on getting back in there. We went to a dinner theater day before yesterday with me and the kids, and I ended up on stage. Isaac ended up on stage. It was a thing. So that'll end up being an episode. I certainly debased myself up there when they called people up for their birthdays.
Oh, yay! Oh, I can't wait.
So that was a lot of fun. And then, we're going to take the channel in not a completely different direction, just a little bit of a course adjustment, and try and put some more, useful information, kind of like this.
Oh, okay.
Right, where there's some more informative information on the site where, people go. So there's still going to be plenty of, hey, we went here and this is what it was like. And, we did this and this was what it was like with the kids and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully this summer, we're going to, our big trip will be to go to Jamaica. Yes. So that's going to be a cool one. So, obviously you got to put the finances in order because it's not completely cheap. But c'est la vie, right? No travel ain't free. So, right. But we'll be doing a little bit more of that. And, as we have the trip come up, we'll be talking more about packing and, the planning process, and try to make it a little bit more informative than just, okay, we went here, we did this, it was fun, the end.
Right.
So,
and I mean, lots of things to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've got lots of cool and fun stuff coming up. But in the meanwhile, I think it's about time for us to say goodbye to our friends. Again, thank you to those who have been with us for an hour and 45 minutes. Really appreciate you guys. It means the world to us that you stuck around, and that means that we're obviously doing something right. So we will do this again. Right, I'm really enjoying this. The stuff that we have going on the other channel, I'm really enjoying it. You're a great co-host. You really are. Like you're really amazing. So those MCing skills and the acting skills are definitely come to use.
Yes, I'm trying to use them in every way that I can. So eventually, the right people can see me. Top here and others.
Hint.
Nudge.
We got to find a way to get this in front of his eyes. We got to
Yeah,
find a way.
right.
He was like, "You people hilarious."
I don't know if y'all come on in here and do something. Give us a part.
Yes, we will take it. We'll
Yes.
take it, even if it's a bit part, because there are no bit parts.
No,
That's what they say.
no.
There are no bit parts. So
Mm-mm.
we will take it. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you. We will do this again.
Mhm.
We'll start setting a regular time to do this.
Okay.
Once a month or something like that. We'll
I,
we'll figure
don't
that
say
out.
like I'm gonna be in all of them. Okay, y'all. I'm like, okay, I'll be here. Everyone, make sure you're subscribed. Turn the notifications on because this is going to
Yes.
be a regular thing, and you don't want to miss all the cool
Ab-
stuff, right? That's going on over here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we will have you back. We'll have you. You're way too much fun. So don't think you're going to get out of this by just being like, "Oh, it's not my channel." So
I love it.
you're signed up.
Hey.
Oh man. Anyway, everybody, I hope you all have a great night. Thanks again for watching, and as I end all my videos, keep exploring.